Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sasquatch Secrets, the show where we dive deep into the Squatchology, unraveling the mysteries that surround the legendary Bigfoot. I'm your host, Nikki Cologne, and today we're going to discuss something every Bigfoot enthusiast needs to know: the 6 rules of Bigfoot research. And hello to my chat. Hey guys, good to see you all. You are slowly coming in here. Good. Sandra, Angel, finding the trackway. What's up? We got just Steve. How are you? Good to see you. See, Donald's popped in. Robert Denduven, he's been here since the beginning. I saw you earlier. Good to see you guys. Where's Jen? Don't see Jen. Somebody go tell Jen she's late. There's Grasshopper. So hello to everybody. So glad you're here. And so before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and bring on my guest.
At least that one doesn't make me look fat.
I did change it, and I thought, do I do a hard rock one for Gerry, or do I just give him a mellow one? And
I'm a mellow fellow.
Anyway, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Nikki. Thank you for the invite.
You are very welcome. It's always nice to have you here to have these discussions. And
but you got to stop using those big $10 words that you used in the introduction, or I won't be able to keep up with you.
Squatchology.
There's one. Yeah.
That's all. So, guys, good to see everybody here. Let me move us around and put up the slides here. So the discussion tonight is on the 6 rules of Bigfoot research. These guidelines were laid out by Dr. Blake Mathis, a biologist, PhD, Bigfoot researcher from the Ohio area. And about 7 or 8 years ago, he put out these guidelines. Okay. Now he took them down. He kind of went towards his field work and stuff, and he brought them back. He had deleted them, brought them back, and tried to replicate them the best way he knew how. And they have stood time. Okay. Every one of these rules that we're going to be going over is something we all kind of strive for when we're out there doing research, when we're enthusiasts, when we're trying to find the truth about the whole Bigfoot stuff, right? So his rules were meant to elevate the quality of evidence we gather in our pursuit of the elusive creature. Now, I did contact Dr. Mathis, but he graciously declined to come on tonight. But he might be listening out there. We don't know. He might be out there listening. So let's go ahead and we'll jump right into the first rule that he has. Oh, there's Dr. Blake Mathis right there, and his 6 rules of research. So see Jay coming in. Good to see you, Mark. Good day. Good to see you. So our first one that he has listed on there is physical evidence. Broken branches, moved rocks, stick formations, animal tracks or prints could have been caused by humans or known animals, and should not be regarded as Bigfoot related. Okay. His meaning actually that if we can't see what's making the print, how can we, absolute those findings as done by Bigfoot? So all these tree structures, everything like that, what do you say? Should we completely disregard physical evidence in those cases? Or we have to attribute those to known animals unless we're actually seeing a Bigfoot doing them. What say you, Gerry?
From reading that, I don't think he went far enough. Okay, the flip side of that would be to find evidence that was actually Sasquatch related and mistake it for actions of people or known animals. You know, he's a bit one-sided with the negative. The other aspect of it, well, both of them, but each requires supporting evidence, or they're just baseless statements. I think that his point of view is a bit too narrow. He doesn't allow for possibilities.
Right.
Let me say that again. The flip side of what he stated would be to actually find Sasquatch evidence, but mistake it for actions of people or known animals. So you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. I think if you put the two sides together back to back, it's a pretty realistic goal for certain. And he's absolutely correct. But I would like to see him open to a bit more possibilities.
Right.
I don't know. That's just the feeling I get.
Right. Because the next step to that is, how do we do that? Right. How do we make sure that if we're seeing these tracks, right, are we training ourselves to become trackers? Are we just lay people in that field that are saying, oh, this doesn't look like my footprint, it doesn't look like a bear footprint, and making the next assumption that it is something big that we don't know about, right? Because the rule suggests that unless we can definitively rule out humans or any known animal activity, we shouldn't assume it's Bigfoot related. That's what his number one research goal is that it would just be taken in as data, maybe. Is that what we do with that? That all this is what we've already seen, is thousands of pictures of prints in the ground. And I have no problem with that at all. I think everybody has dozens of photos of pictures of the ground and prints and tracks. But I think where we go wrong, or we take it to the next level, is when we put those photos out onto social media, out into the public, and we say, what do you think about this? And then get mad when people tell you what they think about it.
Well, that's something you should never do, is ask somebody else unless you really trust them. What do you think of this? I mean, the same thing happened to me. I had this picture from Bowen Lakes of this creature crossing the lake, and it looked like a massive gorilla from behind. And I sent it over to a Facebook page that I frequent at times, and for years now. And I happened to say, well, what do you think of this? Because honestly, I wanted to know, what do you think of this when you look at it? And man, I got harassed and I got hate mail and another troll wanting to, show his picture and get comments on it. Well, I wasn't a troll, but this is supposed to be, an up and up site, where people know what they're talking about. So that's why I presented the picture there. But anyway, I learned my lesson. Never ask anybody on the internet what they think of anything, unless you were expecting a bad answer.
It's true. You can totally believe in what you have, whatever your evidence or data or findings are. The minute you put them out into the public and make those accessible to other people, you need to be prepared for what is about to happen, because you are going to get pummeled by everybody and scrutinized for whatever you put out.
Most definitely.
You need to keep it, have it as part of your data, have it as part of your ongoing investigation to what you're researching, what your area has. Because, frankly, everybody's area has a little bit different. Some people are going to have more tree structures, that they want to claim as being done by Bigfoot. Some people are going to say they have more prints. Some are going to say, other things. It all depends, right,
I
on
learned
whatever.
I learned a long time ago, don't show anybody anything unless you have evidence to corroborate it in your own mind and in somebody else's mind. You just don't show them an end product and not tell them how you made it. You know, it's
Right.
it's it's we're full circle again back on the tracks and whatnot, but don't be so narrow-minded either at the same time when you're gathering evidence. And I'm saying this for my own benefit. I'm not preaching to anybody or telling them what to do or what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's don't be so blind, have such blinders that even if you see a footprint, a Sasquatch footprint, that you don't say, oh, that's a bear print, a print of a bear walking in its own steps, and carry on again. It may be or it may not be. How well did you study it? And what did you notice about it? And, it's just taking the investigative thing to a little bit of a higher level. You started off right by alluding to the fact that the problem with most people is that it's very simple. They don't walk looking at the ground. They walk looking everywhere, except on the ground where they're stepping. And that's where the evidence is, if there is any. It's on the ground to start with.
That is true. It's especially true for me because I'm trying to kind of skip the lay of the land and see where I might have trouble walking because, it's a big thing. I need to know where I'm walking. And
Me too.
I do look down, but I probably stepped on like 3 or 4 slugs out there in BC when we were walking.
You're the one who did it, huh?
They were that big, and Brent's like, whoa, you almost stepped on a slug. And I'm like, what? How did I miss that thing? It's that big, It even goes to show that even when we went out onto the Deer Lake Trail, there were these sticks on the ground that we totally just walked right over, right? But coming back out, I'm like, were those there when we came in? And thanks to Trackway, he was like, yeah, they were there. We walked right over them. And not one of us mentioned those are weird sticks right in the middle of the path. Let's move them off the path, or so we're not seeing them over and over again, because I move that stuff out of the way. Some people are like, don't touch those, they're communicating, whatever. I don't believe in that. That's crap right out of the way. Now if I come back and they're back in the same place, well, then we're talking, right?
There you go. Yeah.
But remember, when it comes to tracks, there are other animals out there. So it is when you're a lay person out there. And I know there's a lot of hunters, a lot of you guys out there are hunters. A lot of you guys have been out in the woods as long as I've been alive. And every track, and you seem to know I'm okay. I'm happy for you. But the fact is, the majority of us are not. We are not trained to look at tracks, follow tracks. I can follow tracks for a pretty good way, I feel. I may be all making it up in my head, though. I don't know. I'm not a professional at that. But I think I would be able to track something that's 17 inches long.
Yeah.
A little ways, because that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at something that is a 500 or a 200 to 500 pound bear that you might not be able to follow those round paw prints, but they're not always round. I mean, they're they look like prints. They look
Mm-hmm.
people prints. Now, because those, of course, they're going to have claws, but not always. The claws are not always going to be visible on whatever substrate, you have. It's all going to be
True.
a little bit different. And of course, I'm sure this is a grizzly bear. It looks ginormous, but um, some of the smaller prints that you see people following, it could very well be just, bear, of course. And I think that's what you just have to take into consideration when you are gathering that data, is that it could be a bear. And I don't think it hurts anybody to say, looks like a footprint, but it could be a bear, you know?
Well, I mean, everybody with common sense who spends time trudging around in the backcountry does do so with one eye on the ground, because the question that you have there is there still value in documenting these findings? Heck yes, especially if it's a grizzly bear, you want to know where he is in
Yeah.
comparison to where you're at. So, yeah, I mean, you learn. How else are you going to learn about the countryside? How else are you going to learn? Is there lots of deer around there? Is there a bear? Is there a rabbit? Is there, it's a whole story waiting to be revealed to you by just looking at the ground, especially if you're a researcher who's staking out an area for himself to look for a certain creature like Sasquatch or whatever, a rare toad species. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You've got to learn what the forest is teaching you, what it's displaying for you. You have to learn it. And
Right.
yeah, so it is value in documenting these things.
Absolutely. You need to know what is in your area, right? And that's the first part of research, is going a deep dive into your area, learn what species are in your area. And now that includes birds, because we're finding many of those sounds in the night, are um, owls and what have you that are screeching out there. And you need to know what goes bump in the night, because without that, you're not really, you need to scrutinize yourself.
No, you have
Um,
to acclimatize yourself, or every bump in the night is going to have you sitting up in your sleeping bag, shaking. You know, it's you recognize the night sounds, campfire, and after campfire time when you're trying to go to sleep, you become accustomed to them, and for the most part, you can ignore them. Uh, it's
the
not.
more you know, right, you get used to the sounds of your area.
Yeah,
It's harder to do that when you skip around to many different areas. I know that barn owl screech that we heard out there was it was loud, and it was screeching at us. I feel because we were tromping in its area. So you just you got to learn that stuff and not let it get to you, because it can be pretty like a horror movie out there in the dark. Hearing something screeching at you. But Pine
I
Island
was, yeah, yeah,
made a
I
comment.
was. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say real quick, he had pointed out that um, I believe we have reached the point where the purest form, I'll put it up here, the purest form of research is not repeating the 60 years of failure, searching for tracks, vocal calls, knocks, marbles, etc. All has failed to prove anything.
Right on, Jeff. I got to agree with you. So, I mean, what's the solution then? How do we step up our game, or is there any point in stepping up the game at all? Because there is no game. We're just hanging on to tattered dreams of Sasquatchdom. I mean, Patty might have been the last of her kind. Who knows? And ever since then, there's been nothing to report. If we were CNN, Sasquatch would be out of business decades ago. because there's nothing left to report. But, one keeps hope eternal springing in their breast. And so we just got to figure out ways to up our game. That's all, if we're going to stay in the game. And
right. I mean, I feel there's a lot of good researchers out there. I don't think that they have any more percentage higher than a layperson does at finding Bigfoot. I really feel that now that we've gone over 50 years of searching for this creature, that it's really comes down to the luck of the draw, you being in the right time and the right place to experience a sighting. Because I'm real down on people who say, "Oh, I go see them every day. They're in my backyard," or I can go and have an experience every weekend, and come back with some amazing stories every week.
But do you have a picture? No.
No, they don't like to have their picture taken. Okay,
That's right. Yeah.
Don't like it. Well, how do you know they don't like it? Because you don't have poo. Okay, nothing. I just have a hard time with that. And that's okay, because that's their journey. If they want to lie, or I don't even want to say lie. If their mind is saying it's Bigfoot, then their mind is saying that's Bigfoot. But they have no proof of that. It's not furthering anything for the majority of the public, okay, the greater public. I'm not talking about the Bigfoot community. I'm talking about making difference where people outside our community are saying, whoa, maybe there's really Bigfoot out there. Because if we're in the Bigfoot community, we're already desensitized. We already have Bigfoot on the brain. We already have to deal with that sense of being in the woods and, oh, I feel like something's watching me, and just try to have a good time, go out there, and hopefully put yourself in that situation where maybe something happens. And it may take a long time for that to happen. I don't know, Grasshopper, how long he had been Grasshopper, how long had you been researching before you had your sighting? Maybe we should start doing research on that. People who are looking for Bigfoot, and when they first saw Bigfoot, and how often have they seen Bigfoot since their first encounter. That could tell us a lot about some people out there searching for Bigfoot. But
I found it quite odd that I spend a fair amount of time with Bigfoot related things when I'm at home. Oddly enough, when I go out in the back country, whether it's ATVing, camping, or whatever, Sasquatch is the last thing on my mind. So when I hear a strange noise or sitting around a campfire or something, the last thing I think of is Sasquatch. First thing I think of is bear, cougar, whatever,
Yeah.
But I guess I leapfrogged the stage of being fascinated by the subject so much that every little sound in the forest makes me think that I'm having an encounter. I don't know. I mean,
but the thing is, right? Everybody knows to say, is that Bigfoot, or is that a bird, or is that a fox screaming out there? We have that in us to question ourselves before we go out and say, oh my God, this Bigfoot was, howling at us all night long. We have that. The problem is I don't know if it's people want to get notoriety, or they want to, and actually it's going to be part of the rules here later on. What are the motivations? What are people's motivations when they say they look for Bigfoot?
That's a whole $20,000 question.
It is. It does turn out.
That is the question, really.
Grasshopper says, I knew about Bigfoot, but ignored it until my sighting in 95. So,
Even
he did.
Bigfoot hates being ignored.
But,
We're,
another question is, Grasshopper, when you were out in the woods, you never thought about it much, but did you think it was possible that there could be a Bigfoot out there? Was it a little bit on your brain when you go out into the woods? Because I can't help it. Every time I'm in the woods, I think there could be a Bigfoot out there. But I don't go running back to people saying, oh my God, I heard this and that. And, what makes a person come and blow up or create a scenario that really maybe didn't happen? So
well, now we're getting into psychology of the whole thing.
I know.
This is where you need Leon and his slide rule and projector and whiteboard. But
that's a whole new show right there, isn't
it? It's a whole new subject.
Take a note for me. That's the next show.
No, but I didn't mean to mislead you. I mean, when I'm out in the country, yes, of course, I am looking for tracks or whatever, but it's sort of like done with one eye. I'm not fixated on it. I'm just looking for something unusual or listening that may be attributed. I don't know what I'm listening for because I'm not sure what I would hear. Even if I was listening and I heard a sound, I wouldn't be sure exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But it's a strange thing. It's a love-hate thing. I love doing it. I hate that I waste so much time on it. And so,
it's a love-hate relationship,
as a researcher once said, Greenwald
say that.
said, that on Monday to Wednesday, I think Sasquatch is going to come out of the woods any moment and turn himself into the police, On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I think it's all a load of crap, and I don't know what I got involved in this for. And on Sunday, I don't think about it at all. And that's the whole week, every week, right there. And that's
I believe that. Salvage Monster says, why is this thing being seen everywhere and more than 50 years ago, but yet nothing new, no new evidence? That's what we're talking about. It's the same thing. Why aren't we getting more Patterson Gimlin or Freeman type footage out there? What? And I'm not talking about Sonny Vader videos, okay? Do your homework, people. I'm talking about something at least a little bit more credible than some of the hoaxers like Mark Anders, Sonny Vader, Squatch Master. There are a number of hoaxers out there who will continually put out stuff, videos, shorts, whatever, to keep their numbers up, to, keep grasp of people. And do your homework, right? All it takes is to put the name into Google and all kinds of stuff will pop up about hoaxing and all that stuff. So, but we haven't. Look how fast we jumped on the recent Ronnie LeBlanc post about somebody got, something on video, and it fizzled within a couple of days. So we're waiting. Everybody's waiting for that one post to say, I got it. I got Bigfoot on video, or I got something more credible than what we're getting. I think it's going to be this way for quite some time. But, and it's just, if you love the subject, you love the subject. I've heard more people in the last, say, 6 months saying, I'm done. I've had it. I've been looking for Bigfoot. Bigfoot isn't out there. I'm calling it quits. I'm going to turn to something else, because that's how frustrated some people are with trying to find this evidence. And people who are claiming to have evidence and not showing it, that's a whole different thing. for real.
I can understand that. When I first got into this almost 30 years ago, I was a gushy little acolyte that, figured, man, this is just amazing. What a topic. And now, after a few decades have gone by, I'm sort of moving over. I see, spend lots of nights at the other camp that don't even believe it exists anymore. That it may have existed at one time, but it's long died out. And we're just chasing our own tails, howling at the moon kind of thing, But it's a little part of me still hanging in there that has faith that, maybe someday something will come staggering across the highway on some country dark night and get hit by a diesel or something, and voila, there we have it. Get Jeff Meldrum on the phone. Get all the boys in, But I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath, Nikki.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath either. Grass does make a good point that maybe it's not about the Bigfoot, anymore. Maybe it's about finding those other alternatives while you're out there, in the woods, gold panning and camping and having fun fishing and the whole love of camping and being in the woods and grounding yourself. Maybe it's more about that these days,
Well, that's the fun part.
That's the fun part, right?
Just like the people you meet. Oddly enough, these days, all my friends are Sasquatch researchers. I don't have any normal friends anymore. What you would call normal.
I'm normal. No, actually. But let's see. What does Jeff say? Scientific professionals have degrees educating them in all the variables of their speciality. Yet we put people out with no reference of animal sounds. Yes, that was what I was saying. Sasquatch on the brain, etc. A degree in ignorance. And it's true. We go out there thinking that we might know what's going on, but we really don't. Half the time I don't even know how to use some of my equipment because I'm constantly buying new stuff when I go out. But do I sit there and train myself? I don't. My selfie stick or whatever was doing loop-de-loops, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? If you only knew how much editing I had to do on some of these videos, trust me. You get yourself involved, but it's all about the fun. I got to remind myself that it's fun. It's adrenaline rush, right? To be out in the dark, doing things that you would not normally put yourself into, for sure. And that might be different for Jeff, who goes out into the woods and tracks and sends people out into the boonies. Maybe that's just an ordinary day to him. But for, I think, the majority of weekend warriors, it's a little bit more about that rush you get when you're doing something you probably shouldn't be doing, or find yourself lost in the woods.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Jeff spends a bit more time in the woods than your average weekend warrior researcher, for sure. And as a matter of fact, offhand, I can't think of anybody who spends more time in the bush than he does. But, I'm sure they're out there. But
hey, Steve, Curious Cryptid is here. He says, one thing I have observed.
Hey, Steve.
The main difference between regular campers and Bigfooters is Bigfooters are afraid of what they imagine is out in the dark. And that is a true statement, my friend. Very true. Yeah, your imagination is your own worst enemy when you're out there in the dark. And you can see that in anybody's videos at night. I don't care if you're seasoned, not seasoned. You're walking and you hear something step on a branch. You're stopping, you're dead stopped and being like, what was that? Am I looking at a bear coming down the thing, a Bigfoot, or is it a rabbit? I don't know. Something made that noise or crunched out there in the darkness. And it can get your heart going there pretty good. And of course, what you guys are hearing, right, in video land is nowhere near as loud as what we're hearing while we're out there. So, of course, people like Trackway can extract all those sounds with their, little gizmos and Audacity and whatever thing they have to help do that. But
see, nobody thinks axe murderer. It always Sasquatch, the same thing every time, and yet the bodies are piling up, but no one says axe murderer. I don't know.
My mom called my husband an axe murderer before she met him. Yep, she did. You're going to bring the axe murderer over here? I'm like, Mom, I don't know. It's an axe murderer. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. That was just the first one. We spent 40 minutes talking about number one. The second one, sounds in the woods. We did kind of touch on this, but according to Dr. Mathis, he says sounds that are heard without seeing the creature responsible cannot be directly linked to Bigfoot. So he does have a caveat that while it may be necessary to suspend this rule during an investigation, it must be imposed if no corroborating evidence is discovered.
Now, what exactly does he mean by that?
I think he means that if you hear something walking in the woods and you don't go to investigate that area to see if there's footprints of the walking, that how can you say, Bigfoot made that sound? It again could be a whole slew of different animals that are out in the woods.
No, I'm not so sure about that, but it's like he's got the right idea that just unexplained sounds of other evidence is lacking. Okay, but he seems to be making an allowance for a certain situation before the investigation is completed. I don't know. This is just how I'm reading it.
Yeah,
it's and it leads me to think that why would you form an opinion one way or the other before your investigation has been completed, if that is what he is saying? And that's just sort of spoiling. I may just let me get something here.
Yeah, Jen.
Yeah, isn't I just think isn't doing that tainting the perimeters on your conclusions for. I don't know. I just don't know what he means by that. Anyway, sorry.
It's probably a lot in regards to what we've been talking about with physical evidence. You need to have something to prove what you're saying is to those sounds. So it's about how can we approach the analysis of auditory evidence in the field. And I think Sasquatch Wizard Jonathan, he makes a good point. Who's the other auditory guy? Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of people now who are saying that we need to get more audio and start scrutinizing that audio better and start comparing things.
There's a guy in California. I can't think of his name now. I wouldn't mind getting in touch with him about some sounds. Is it Chris? I can't think of it. He was a researcher, but now he's just gone totally over to the audio sound side. Yeah. That's all he does. That's all he researches is audio noises, audio whatever.
I'm sure they'll list somebody else.
Yeah, somebody must know him.
David Ellis. They're saying David Ellis does all that stuff. I was
Okay.
way far behind in the chat, guys, so look through that real quick. Good point, Pat. If you spend a month out in the woods, all that scary stuff goes away. And it's true because you find that a lot. And I think I've even heard Jen say it before that by the second or that first night, you probably get a real crappy sleep because you're hearing everything out in the woods. But by the third night, you're out. You want to sleep. You know, a lot less stuff bothers you when you're tired and stuff. So totally agree about that. Amateur anybody is new with fresh mind finding new things. Oh, wait. What? Amateur anybody is new with fresh mind finding new things. That I think I get what you're saying, but you worded it really weird, Rabbit. I'm gonna skip that one. Always knew there were cats and bears to keep out for were food out there and should never take it for granted. That's a good point. You know, you always have to have your head on a swivel. So that needs to be done. You need to know the animals in your area. Still love the subject. Yes. I was thinking about today, my work. Nope. Let's see. What else? Pine Island says, when I have clients in remote areas and hear the bumps in the night, I can't just reason it away in my head. I have to sell that reason to my clients who may be freaking out. Half-ass doesn't work. So do you go out there and confront the bear, or what do you mean? Or do you scare them? I don't know. You confront the skunk. I do. I pitch rocks at them. I don't hurt the skunks. Honestly, I don't. I just want to scare them away. Cannot be associated with no. Okay. Deer stomp around at night, and it sounds bipedal. People also don't know that Ron Moorhead had access to recording studio and had recorded an album. Would have been easy to fake. That's another topic for another show. The LARPers must hate the rules. Yeah. There's no rules for LARPers, though. You just want to make things look good, right? You just want to make things look good. Snorna, let me see. What else? Okay, am I near the end yet? Wow, I let myself get way behind. Okay, so I guess that's what we can do, is that we just have mounds and mounds of data to go through. Every time you're out in the woods, you know, you're told, did you catch it on audio? Do you have an audio? Thank God when we were out in Mount St. Helens that we had audio going and we caught that tree falling. It was an amazing tree fall. You know, I had never been in the woods and heard something like that. I had been in the woods when a limb fell down off of a tree, but never when a full, well, again, we're assuming it was a full tree that fell. We never did find the culprit, but so it's good to have that stuff handy and around. What else? Okay, so we're gonna go straight to number 3. So here, testimony and truthfulness. It is not possible to reliably determine if people are lying simply by listening to their testimony. this would probably be a good one for Thomas to be in here.
Yeah, but is he talking about a recording, or is he talking about a face-to-face interview, or is he talking about, it's
I think he's talking about face-to-face testimony, face-to-face.
Well, there are those who are quite adept at reading other people. People who are trained in this skill, like Stephen Coles, as an example. People can develop this talent. Yeah, your reference to Thomas, there's one there. So it's a very narrow thing to say that it's not possible to reliably read a person with some degree of certainty. I think it's totally possible. Is it a skill like a lie detector? No. But then seeing a Sasquatch is not like covering up a crime either. No, it's not perfect. Neither is a lie detector. But I think there are people out there, yes, who can read people very well.
I think so. I think they can, but I still don't think they're infallible. I think everybody
certainly not.
Absolutely think that even the best of the best can be lied to, under circumstances.
And like I said, even a lie detector is not perfect.
Right. So you have to take that into consideration, that people will inflate stories. We have this tendency to want to make something sound better than what the actual thing is, whatever we're talking about, incident, eyewitness testimony, whatever it is that we're about to convey to somebody, is we want to draw that story out, make it easier for people to listen to, make it a nicer story to carry on to another person. And we, as investigators, many of us do not like to just have walk down the road and I saw a Bigfoot cross the street, and that would be it, right? That's all they would say. We have more questions about that. Where were you? When did it happen? What time of day was it? How big was it? How tall? Can you tell how fat it was? Was it skinny? Did it have hair? Did it have fur? Did blue eyes, brown eyes? What? We have more questions, right? And we automatically want to draw that simple statement that I saw a Bigfoot cross in front of me, like this picture right here. You have people who are not in this for seeing Bigfoot at all. They're hikers. They're just out there in the wilderness and something happens to them. And to some of them, they're just like, yeah, I just walked right in front of me. That's all. No big deal. It looked at me and walked away. And, it looked at you. Well, what did it look like? What did its teeth look like? What else did you see? And
well, there's Thomas and his 45 questions.
Right. Exactly. And I've seen that list of questions, and they're amazing questions. Okay. It's an amazing thing to be able to have all of that documentation for a sighting. But does it, is it real? Are people just making it up to give an answer? Possibly. It could be.
But as some people would say, I even heard Stephen Cole say at one time, that if they get them to repeat the story, and if the story doesn't change, they're telling the truth. If the story keeps on changing, they're lying. Because we all know that it's hard to keep lies straight once they start rolling. But I mean, that's why Thomas, number 45 question before number 46 is, okay, tell me the whole story in your own words all over again. He just spent 45 minutes interrogating the poor person. Now he wants them to go right back to the beginning and tell him the whole story again.
That can be frustrating. You know, I could see where they're saying, like, forget you, you know.
Mhm.
Some people don't care about the details. And it's probably bigger than we think. They don't care about all that stuff. It's just a little sensationalized, but you know, how do we validate those eyewitness testimonies? You know, we can document and we can preserve what people are telling us, but validation is a whole other thing. You know, going to the site, looking for any kind of evidence, trace evidence that has been left behind. For example, oh my gosh, now I can't remember the one where Thomas was at that campsite and he talked to the people, and when he crossed over, he found the footprints himself.
Yeah,
But they didn't.
that was a Chilliwack River Road, and I think it was Hog Creek was the name of it. I've been there with Thomas. I've seen that place. Yes, yes.
He
It was
corroborated,
yeah.
validated that sighting because they didn't even know those footprints were there.
No,
You know,
no.
never went out. He investigated and found that after. So stuff like that, you know, if when that takes a hold, makes things a little bit more legitimate in my eyes to how we should treat some of these. And you're not gonna get the corroborating evidence the majority of the time. Let me make sure I'm not too far behind here. All good points, everybody talking out there in the chat. So, should we weigh testimony against other forms of evidence? Where would you put the testimony or the what a witness says against foot tracks or hair samples, or you know, is there a hierarchy? There probably should be, of what we look at. What's more important, the what a person says that we really can't prove, or you know, we have to hold the physical evidence more important, the footprints? Because I'll tell you right now, to me, structures are not physical evidence of anything. I never have
No.
thought of them as evidence. I think there's way too many other things that can do it. Yes, there are circumstances such as in what's the Nordegg, you know, the great big tree structure things going on up there with our favorite person standing up there. That seemed kind of impossible for a human to do. And they don't, you know, there are going to be exceptions to that rule probably. But anything smaller than, you know, 6 foot tall structures, I think they just need to go away. You just need to cut those loose. I really don't think Bigfoot's going to squeeze into a little tent looking structure, you know. Oh, and I've heard it. I've heard it all. The babies, that's the nursery, you know, whatever. But nobody's ever seen babies in those things. So it's like I don't think anybody's ever proven that the nests up in the Olympic Project nests, that Bigfoot created those. What else?
Nests were unheard of until 1990, and that's when Kathy, now she's Kathy Strain. That's when she was in the Sonora forest, or Stanislaus forest. She came across one of those nests and said out loud to the group that was with her, you know, maybe that's a Sasquatch nest. And that's where that came from. No one ever heard of a Sasquatch nest before that day. All of a sudden, within a year, there were Sasquatch nests everywhere. Everybody was finding Sasquatch nests. It's as ridiculous as the Brer Road Dog Man. You
Oh,
know,
the dog.
no one ever heard of Dog Man until someone wrote a book, and a couple of years later they made a documentary, and all of a sudden there were over 1,500 Dogman sightings within 1 year in the United States. So yeah, it doesn't take long for people to grab these things and run with them.
Yeah.
And the same thing with tree twists too, because it was Bob Titmus who opined about that, who said, "I wonder if these things could be related to Sasquatch." That's all he said. And
Yeah.
within a year up to this day, every twist is done by a Sasquatch. You know,
Right. But I mean, everybody can, say, oh, well, maybe they do this or maybe they do that, and that's fine. But it's when those are made into statements that is concerning. It's concerning to people who follow the scientific method or follow a more straight path to discovery. Those are concerning because they make other people think it's real. They only have one footprint because then they portal into somewhere else, or they I don't know, you guys know what I mean. They're just
lazy. They're lazy. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the research. They just want to be told it and carry it with them, and that's it. They don't want to investigate. They don't want to find out the truth. This is supposed to be entertainment and fun. Now you're making it hard work. Forget that.
Yeah. Well, some people, it's not that hard of work to think this way. To think that what is creating these things and how does it happen? Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time that people don't have because they're not getting paid to do that.
Right.
We're in a society where you have to work, you have to make money. You can't be out there in the woods as much as you would like to be out in the woods. And frankly, something this big is going to take a huge grant with several people out there for months at a time, maybe a year, to really find answers. Maybe that's the way it's going to be. And so far, I don't see that happening.
I think there are those that believe it'll take at least 500 well-equipped people going into the countryside in any designated area and spending several years in there to come away with any real feeling whether or not such a creature exists or ever did exist in such an area like that. And no one has the capacity, the money, the time to do such a thing. No one ever did, and no one ever will spend that kind of money on something that has not even been proven to exist. So We'll be going on like this for the next 50 years. Yeah. I mean, sorry to say, but that's it. Pre-Patty, there was nothing. Since Patty, nothing. Sierra Sounds, nothing. Since Sierra Sounds, nothing. It's what's next big thing that's going to be around for 6 months and then that disappears too. That's our lot.
For real. And as we come into the next one, which is my favorite, of course, the risk of hoaxes, right? He states that despite the real possibility of getting shot, people do walk around in gorilla suits or Bigfoot costumes out in the woods. They do it, they do it for the laughs. They do it as a joke. They do it to completely make fun of the topic. And even people who are serious researchers have Bigfoot suits, okay? And it happens. It just happens.
But Nikki, perhaps the very fact that they were in costume might at the same time also have saved their lives. No one wishes to shoot something which looks human-like. That would make anybody think twice before they pull the trigger. Although there are those who might. There are those
Although
who
there's
might.
somebody who was shot in a Bigfoot suit rather recently, within the last couple of years. Who was that got shot in a suit? Now I can't think. Somebody in the chat will say. But yeah, it has happened before. And people have gotten hit trying to run across the freeway in suits, trying to play pranks.
It's a risky business.
Right. It is a risky business for real.
I don't know how you get insured against it, but yeah.
The fact is, over the last 60 years, our failed research efforts have compiled more data that works against us than the proof of this mystery. We have painted ourselves into the corner, says Jeff. And he may be right. And that statement right there is the reason why I can name like 5 people who want to turn their back to Bigfoot community, the research, right? And go on and do the other stuff because they're done. They're done with the drama that happens on almost the daily basis of something, you know, and they feel like maybe their time will be better spent doing other things. You know, we've all heard Brent say, oh, I've done this for 10 years. I haven't found Bigfoot. I'm out there looking. I'm away from people. I'm giving it his all to discover his truth, right? And his truth would be the only way he's going to believe in Bigfoot is if he sees one for himself. And that's how a lot of people are, you know, on our end of things, is that we need to have that sighting for ourselves to be able to say they exist. Okay, I saw it. I'm happy now, you know, and be able to move on.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that one, definitely. Yeah, but I mean, as the years go by and you get older, they go by faster. And you don't want to be sitting down thinking, why did I waste 20 odd years doing this when I could have been doing something else? Maybe something that would actually help the community I live in or the country I live in or whatever, investing all of my time in that benefits other people, instead of spending all my time at these conventions and going out in the back country looking for something that's never been proven to exist. You know, I mean, you really got to weigh the scale seriously on this. Like, you know, it's what's more important to your fellow man or this ape in the woods that hasn't even been proven to exist, you know? It's something that you have to wrestle with, and that's why people get burned out. Yes, it is. That's why they drop out for a few years. Like, I got other things to take care of. I don't need this stuff anymore. I got a family. I got kids. I got relatives. I have friends. I have things I should be doing, you know, productive things that you should be doing. So, yeah, people do drop out. People will drop out.
Yeah. And it's becoming more and more that I know several researchers who I think are great out there, but they're not. They've completely drawn back from Facebook, drawn back from YouTube. They may drop one video every 3 or 4 months just to let people know I'm still here, you know, but they got so tired of the scrutiny and of having to justify their work in the field that they pulled out. And they were really great researchers, you know. It's like John Redtron. I used to love watching his videos, loved watch what he was putting out there, and he drew back. He says, forget that, you know. And you can still find some of his stuff out there. Occasionally he'll put out a few things. But I know he follows me. He may be watching now. I don't know. But, you know, there's some people who have maintained their credibility and have gained more credibility by pulling out, because they were just like, I'm doing my thing. If you don't like my thing, don't watch. But now nobody will watch because I'm done. And it's sad for some people, but I totally understand that feeling. And I think that's what a lot of people might start doing even more, is that realizing how toxic the online community can be in this type of field. And you don't want that. You really don't want that.
I dropped out for about 3 years because of social media. And by social media, I mean communicating with people through social media in forums and such. Yeah. And I found that, it's like this little horde of savages that want to attack you as soon as they find out you have a skeptical bone in your body. And so I would fall for it. I would fall for it. Somebody would come along and say something disparaging about, most of the time, me, not what I'm talking about. And I would go to bed that night and I would be grinding my teeth, How dare that jerk call me blah, 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 and blah, blah. And this went on for about 8 or 9 months. And I was like, God, this is really getting to you. You came here to watch this TV show, and all you're doing is grinding your teeth thinking about that message. And I thought, that's enough. That's enough. I'm out of here. I'm done, because this is just getting to me. And, and I'm done. And I came back after a few years with the lesson learned: just stay off social media. It'll cure a whole bunch of ills if you stay off social media,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been in that same situation where I have let things get under my skin, and I'm in there with my kids trying to watch TV or whatever, and I'm on my phone just typing away, complaining and doing and they're like, "Hey, you said you were going to watch the movie. I can't. I got to respond to this right now." And it's over your life. And my youngest won't ask me anymore to watch a movie unless she says, "Are you really going to watch?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm gonna put my phone away."
Is there somebody in your head living there free?
It happens. It happens when you when you make a decision to be public. Okay.
Yes.
And then you make a decision to become an online podcaster, have shows, whatever your medium is. Yeah. You have to realize that you put yourself right in the front lines. That
you betcha.
You will get the criticism, and that is fair game. That is fair game when you're doing this type of medium. And it's hard. It's hard to hear that. And it makes you almost want to quit every time something shitty happens, or somebody says something that you're like, that is not true. I am not that kind of person. And
that's right. Get all indignant and huffy and, Yeah. Been there, done it.
Sometimes it's to the point where you get threats. And that's not cool, and that shouldn't happen for just giving your and doing all that.
But you got to understand, it's not you, it's the culture, the society that we live in. And it's not just in this subject either with Sasquatch. It's in every subject you can think of. It's the same thing. People are experiencing the same thing. And, it's just our lives. It's just our lives.
Yeah, it is our lives. And what are we going to do? There's going to be people out there who are going to hoax us. And all I can do is, if I find out it's a hoaxing, I can tell you what I've found. And that was the whole point of my intention of my show to begin with, was if I find something, I think you guys should know about it. And I'm going to let you know what I have and what I found, and help the new people coming into this field, which are by the dozens come in here every month looking for answers because they have such an enthusiasm for Bigfoot, and it turns out it's so much more in this community. So, for sure, that's what we have to do. But it's going to be hard in this age of, AI, better Photoshop, better methods of fooling us. It's going to get hard to determine what's real and what's not in terms of photos, videos, audios. Anything now is fair game to be duplicated, messed with, altered, and it's really going to be hard for the legit researchers to put out any of their findings and not be criticized.
I think you're going to see a lot of honest people go by the wayside because of AI. I mean, it's primitive now. It's pretty good, and it's in the primitive stages. And every 18 months, technology doubles. Whatever you're talking about, by the time you get your TV set from Japan, the next model is already running down the assembly line. The new and improved model, and that's AI too. I say 2025 next summer, half of us will be gone. We'll be gone because we'll be so fed up and so disenchanted. Where do you go to hear a word of truth anymore or believe anything you see with your eyes? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The only people, boy, are you going to be busy, Nikki, because the only people who are going to be left are the hoaxers.
The only people, the only channels are going to be real are the ones showing the hoax.
They'll be selling little Nikki dolls with spears going through the body, little voodoo dolls at convention and everything. Oh, yeah, the convention guys will still be here, too. They're making money. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's always going to be the love of the subject, but for some of us who really are looking out there, are spending hours and hours out there in the woods, I don't see social media being a friend to any of that.
No.
So, human limitations is number 5. And he states here that most people are incredibly bad at judging heights, weights, and distances. If a witness does not have something in close proximity with which to compare, height estimates are likely to be inaccurate. This does not reflect on credibility. It is simply a common human attribute. I kind of agree with that. I went fishing and I caught a fish this big. It could be that, but still, it's pretty hard. Some of us just don't have it in us to be able to tell distance 30 feet from 50 feet or whatever, or in this case, 6 feet from 10 feet, Bigfoot wise. So, but that's just our limitations, our memories. Some people have better memories than others. Mine is slowly fading away. That's why I have paperwork all the way around me to remind me of stuff, because I'm not good at names. I'm not good at dates. I am not Henry May, okay, who is an encyclopedia. I wish I was. But
well, I don't know. There's people out there who are pretty good at judging distances. I mean, hunters can judge distances, especially bow hunters. They really can judge distances. And besides that, how would an investigator know if the witness was being accurate or not? Unless, unless he goes out and paces the distance off himself, And if he did, how important would it be to his report if the witness was 50 yards off in his estimate, And height measurements, in the past have been off, even with an adjacent object for comparison. So, this is not 100% correct. I mean, even Marble Mountain video will show you that with the so-called Sasquatch up on the ridge. They tried to
Right.
use that branch just above his head to estimate his size. But when they got up there and actually measured it, they found out their estimates were way off because they were looking at it from a different angle when they went up. So the creature wasn't an 8-foot something. It was more like 6'5" when you actually got to the spot where this creature was standing. And most people believe it was now a guy in a hoodie with a backpack. And but from down at the bottom, because you were looking up at an angle, it looked like it was much higher. The head was closer to that overhanging branch. But when they got up to where the branch was up here, not down by his head. So, no, I mean, there's exceptions to every rule. So I don't think you can make a blank statement like that and have it apply as, as gospel or whatever. There's exceptions to everything.
What does Jeff say? He says, he's talking to Trackway. If I was trying to prove it's true, my encounter would mistakenly be used as evidence in my head. When trying to prove it does or doesn't exist, my encounter poisons the integrity of my data. And a lot of people wouldn't think that way, though. A lot of people wouldn't.
When is your book coming out, Jeff? I'd buy it.
Already. Where is it? Do I have it right here or is it over there? I think I have it over here somewhere. He did put a book out of his encounter. It was his encounter story. How can investigators account for the common inaccuracies in witness estimates, size, and distance? And you kind of were already talking about that. But should witness reports be adjusted based on known biases in human perception? I think the investigation will fix that on its own. Just as you were talking about the Marble Mountain, they went up there, they did the investigation, they did the measurements, they realized the angles and how that changed everything. And that's what it's going to take is the research, the investigation part, not the research part, the investigation part as to furthering, those statements of witness accounts and stuff.
Well, Nikki, as anybody who is a researcher knows, there's no such thing as a closed file. There's no such thing as a closed file. You got something on file and something happens in that area 8 years down the road, you got a good basis to investigate again. You've been over at Point and Order. You've been over at Thomas's. You've seen those file cabinets. A lot of them are cold cases. You think Thomas is throwing them out? No.
Yeah. No, he has got files where you can tell where he's just been, every time something happens, he's put in another piece of evidence.
No
the
such
date,
thing.
the time, and he hit his button and he knocked himself out of the thing. But it was amazing to see that dedication. And we really need to not lose that type of research, because he dotted the I's, he crossed the T's, he saved all the information. There were at least 6, I think there were 6 filing cabinets full of encounters and stuff going on. Knocked yourself out, didn't you?
I said, no such thing as a dead file, and I die.
Yeah, that was dead. All right. So yeah, he just had mounds and mounds of information everywhere. I could ask a question and he could pull out the file. Let me see your PNG file. Holy crap. Okay. I wanted to take pictures of every little thing that he had in that file. Let me see your Freeman file. Let me see this file, that file. Any file of any major incident involving a Bigfoot, you could ask him and he can pull out that file, and tell you who he talked to, when he talked to them. He has audio recordings of himself talking with people to, back himself up. I heard him talking with Bob Gimlin on the phone, phone call after phone call. I read correspondences from Thomas to Rene Dahinden and vice versa, Rene Dahinden to him, because back then it was snail mail, so everything was handwritten, from John Green to Thomas. Amazing that I was able to read all these. I wish, I could just share them with you. There were personal correspondences, but that we are going to lose, unfortunately. Everything that we have is tied up in computers. They are fallible. They do go down. Information gets lost. And it's going to be very hard to find another person who was or is as detailed as Thomas in their search for Bigfoot. So, what do we got over here? Proactive. Okay. The last one here is attention-seeking behavior. So the rule states that despite no obvious monetary gain or fame, people will invent Bigfoot sightings to gain attention. This is true even if the attention is only from a few Bigfoot researchers. So he's saying that there are many people, many researchers out there who would rather do a little hoax or convince people of their data, their evidence, even if it is just to a few people, to help gain more confidence, to help, them get more notoriety. And not everyone who reports Bigfoot sightings is motivated by money or fame, but sometimes it's all about getting the attention. And we see that over and over, that could be the case. So I had put, what are the signs that Bigfoot sighting reports can be fabricated, for attention? What are those signs? What do we question? We question. As a group, we question everything that's coming out, and that's probably the only way we can combat that type of stuff. Hence, the Ronnie LeBlanc thing that came out, everybody was up on top of that. So I think that needs to continue to happen. And how does the community handle cases where there's suspicious or false reports? Do we just let it go? A lot of people would say yes, let it go. People like Brant aren't going to let those go. They're just going to have to face the facts. There are people out there who aren't going to let stuff like that go. What say you, Gerry?
I think that as far as people looking for notoriety or anything goes, I think that this theory is, applicable to some people. certainly not all, nor many either, you know. And the reasons why they would do this runs from inclusion to mental instability, I guess. But all in
Right.
all, I think their numbers are not something for the average investigator to worry about, in my humble opinion, anyway. I mean, they're a nuisance, but is it rampant?
Only
I
the
don't
people
know.
probably know that. Because you're right. If you're a researcher and you're trying to do the honest thing and do your path, your search, then this
Hmm.
shouldn't be. You should just be doing your own focus on your own stuff
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your materials and whatever you're coming up with in your research. But for people like me or even Brent, who we talked about this earlier, that, during the summer, Brent's doing his thing out there, searching. But come winter months, look out because he does other things, that kind of upset the community. But
Yeah,
so,
I was coming from the viewpoint that the average researcher doesn't have to worry too much about these kind of people knocking on their door saying, I had an encounter or something I want to tell you about. On media like this, yeah, it's rampant. It's like, more fleas on a dog. And but I mean, the average researcher who does face to face talking, and by the way, life is a lot different out there in the real world as a researcher or an investigator than what you witness here online. It's not the same world by any means, and you have to take all of this here with a grain of salt. So yeah, there are a lot of people out there who do this. Social media is the easiest way, but I mean, the average researcher, they come across an odd one every now and then. Of course they do, but that's my 2 cents anyway.
yeah. Eyes in the Woods. Oops. Wow. Did you see she just disappeared? There it goes. Says, don't blame Dog Girl, blame the people buying tickets to see Dog Girl. And I can definitely see that opinion. I can see that. But put that into Bigfoot. And so you don't just blame Rick Dyer, blame the people who went to see Rick Dyer. And that, there are a lot of people who go to see those type of things who know. Okay, so the example is that when Rick Dyer took his stuffed Hank Bigfoot out on the road, many of the people who were interviewed in the line waiting to see the dead Bigfoot knew was a hoax, knew it was fake. And they said that. They said, oh, we know it's fake. It's just fun to come and do something and fun, carny atmosphere to come and see what he's got, but we know it's fake. We know it's not real. So those are the people that you would be. What the heck's going on? My dog is doing something over there. So, I can see yes and no because I'm one of those people. I love to go to carnival sideshows. I love to go to fairs and see weird and unusual things and pay money to go see those things. But I don't think that makes me the problem, for that. Because making money, however you make money, that's that. Um, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. My dog is wigging out. Can you take her out for me, please? Thank you. It was my daughter making noise. It wasn't the dog. Um,
I think you were saying there's nothing wrong with making money.
I think there's nothing wrong in this field when you want to make a buck. Now, yeah, it was wrong because he was saying that was a real Bigfoot and he killed it and stuffed it and blah, blah, blah. That was totally wrong. Okay. So, but in other things, going conferences and spending money to go to conferences and pick up all the little doodads that all the people are selling. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and more power to people who do that. So,
Yeah, there's no victimization there.
right.
Whereas there would be with hoaxing.
Right. Yeah. So welcome, Lost Cryptids. Welcome, Red Dirt Cryptid. Good to see you in the chat. And that kind of, I think that was the last one. Yeah, that's the last one on the group here. That was a really pretty good conversation for the topic there. The 6 rules, Dr. Mathis's 6 rules of Bigfoot research. So we're going to move on to a couple more things. Well, I'm going to get you guys out of here on time tonight so you can head over to Squatch DTV and watch his next show. Seems pretty interesting. So
could I just say something before you go on to another topic?
Sure.
About what we were just talking about?
Oh, absolutely.
And I think healthy skepticism would have resolved all of the situations that we discussed, and many more even. There's no list of rules for research in my mind anyway. Every situation's completely different, and each situation has to be approached with skepticism. So in my opinion, your skepticism should guide your investigation, not any research rules. And why I say that is I think skepticism allows you the flexibility to grow and learn in your research, but static lists won't. And that's just where I'm coming from on it anyway. It was a good chat, great chat, really enjoyed it.
Great chat. Now remember, this list was not my creation. This was a creation by Dr. Blake Mathis about 7 or 8 years ago, but it came to me as something that we all strive to do anyway. There's probably many more things that could be added to that, and hence the show. Okay. I was hoping to get Dr. Mathis on here to, give us his point on why he created that and stuff, but maybe next time, maybe I can convince him sometime here soon. But let's move on with the rest of the show.
Show me what you got. Jim, you heard them said, show me what you got.
So tonight, I don't have as many show me what you gots tonight as I did last week, that we kind of didn't even go through half of them. But just remember that people are going to continually troll the Bigfoot community on social media, and they're going to keep putting out pictures now that it is so easy to put in a prompt into their meta, into their AI generator, and come up with more BS. Okay. And there are going to be more and more people who I think are the true trolls, right? We get called trolls for being critical thinkers, but these are the true trolls, the ones who are out here putting out nonsense that is AI generated, and it's getting better. I keep telling you, by this time next year is going to be crazy better. And people down below are still commenting, this one looks real. This is what they really look like. That, big gorilla face there. That is what Bigfoot looks like. So it's more of a be careful what you're looking at out there. And what did you say? On a completely different thing here. Oh, sometimes I think those trolls are paid by somebody. I don't know if we go that far with saying if somebody's getting paid to do stuff like that. Maybe they're generating stuff, but
who was that guy you had on your last podcast? And he was showing this video, I guess he had created, about this giant Sasquatch running down the road, belting a car off the road. And
it
was an older black and white film.
I can't remember what.
Joe at something or other. I don't know. I don't remember. But I thought that was a pretty neat video.
Right. Yeah, they use AI to get attention, and that's all it is. And he, all the comments so far. Well, that had barely been a day ago, but and there were already 10 comments. All of them on there saying, "Whoa, that looks cool. I'd be scared." Oh, that's I'm hoping a lot of people didn't comment on that because they knew it was AI generated and are just tired of that kind of stuff. I mean, this is off of the coalition, and Stephen Strufert says that Ronnie LeBlanc announced to him that this one is real. So that picture right there, it's a picture, but it has a grass skirt on, okay? And come on. No. Do I need to get out my
Why is he purple?
I haven't used it in quite a while, but my BS meter, total BS.
Sasquatch.
Okay? Come on, total BS. That's fake. Not real. Just say no. Okay. So, but now I'm in a totally different place here. So let's move on. We'll move on. I have more news. So the first one I had was this Mentor Public Library plans children's program featuring a Bigfoot researcher. Well, it turns out this is Amy Boo. Amy Boo is going to be here at the Mentor Public Library September 10th. She's doing a whole thing with kids 6 to 12 years old. I thought it was a pretty cool thing. And then I got locked out of the News Herald, so I didn't get all the information. But if you're in her area, the Mentor Public Library, I don't even know the exact city because I didn't find it. September 10th, she's going to be there. Maybe you guys could go say hi to her. I thought it was kind of cool. The next one is the Latrobe Bulletin out of Pennsylvania. This one says they ban mayoral proclamation makes it illegal to hunt Bigfoot in Derry Borough. And this was August 23rd that this came out. It says you can go looking, but any attempts to harm the mysterious cryptid known as Bigfoot inside the boundaries of Derry Borough will be met with the full force of the law. Mayor Grant Nicely made the proclamation at the August 13th Borough Council meeting. It also names Bigfoot as the official cryptid of Derry Borough. So good on them for, doing it, even though it may have been a little bit of a show thing, right? By proclaiming Bigfoot as our official cryptid and establishing Derry as a sanctuary, we are embracing our local folklore and the rich history that makes our community unique, says Council Vice President Nathan Bundy in a press release about the proclamation. This proclamation honors the generations of stories and sightings that have made Derry and the Chestnut Ridge a destination for those intrigued by the unknown.
They couldn't get Taylor Swift, huh?
One is related to that too. What else do I got here? New Bigfoot movie at Canton Palace. I didn't know what they were referring to, but it turns out it's Small Town Monsters, independent production company that we all know, Small Town Monsters, is presenting the film, one in a series of exploring various aspects of the Bigfoot phenomena. Filmmaker Seth Breedlove heads Small Town Monsters. The new film explores the Great Smoky Mountains in search of evidence and clues of Bigfoot. Stories and accounts of Sasquatch-like creature known as the Wood Booger is also examined. Joining Breedlove in this quest are researchers Russ Jones, Matt Pruitt, and Mark Matsky. So I was like, oh, we know those guys.
Mhm.
I just, hit it up because it said new movie, and I like to explore the new movie stuff that comes out. So good on them for being on the Canton Republic.
Good stuff.
So, this next one is Bigfoot reportedly spotted 189 miles from Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I thought there was going to be a whole story on it. And it was a clickbait type of thing. It stated that, and then there was no story attached. Instead, it had several different stories about recent sightings of Bigfoots. This one here, the Atlantic City, New Jersey one, it had a one about Virginia. A witness says that he saw a Bigfoot crossing a road in Spotsylvania County, Virginia on August 9th. Joseph Seymour, 21, filed a report with the Bigfoot Research Organization. And Seymour says he was driving on West Catherpin Road when he saw the very large creature with human-like proportions, according to a report on the website. The very tall, dark figure ran across the road, roughly 40 yards in front of his vehicle. It was across the road in a few big steps with long arms swinging like a biped. It was definitely not a deer or bear and stood between 7 or 8 feet tall. The encounter took place at around 8:30 p.m. He said there would be no reason for a person to cross right there in the near darkness when the person could cross at the intersection of the roads 20 yards further along that one again. And then this last one says that Bigfoot encounter in South Jersey. Oh, this one switched to 2014. That's easy. So look at that one.
You seem to be having a mic problem, Nikki. You're muffled. Now you're better. Too close to the microphone.
I get too close when I'm looking at my paperwork. Okay. So last one. We've got be on the lookout. You guys, be on the lookout. This is a new channel. It's called Bigfoot Forensics. I wanted to do a quick shout out to, I think his name is FD Ziggin. I am not sure about that. I did not find his name. Nobody could tell me his name, but go check out his YouTube channel. It's great. It's based on forensics. He's looking into certain things in the Bigfoot community that he has interest in, including the Onion Mountain and stuff. So he takes it a whole scientific way about it. And it's, find the link down in the description. You're also going to find Jerry's down there, the Bukwas crew, Sasquatch Bukwas crew. His link will be down there as well. Go check it out. Brand new, only got about 10 videos out, but they're all really great. I'm still trying to catch up on those, and suggest all of you go over there and hit that. Am I still sounding like I'm underwater?
No, you're okay.
Let me know in the chat if I sound okay.
No, you're good.
Okay. Because I could redo my voice meter over here, see if it's that. But I think I was just way too close to the mic. So that's what he looks like. If that is you, Mr. Ziggin, please give me a message. Shoot me a message, and you can come on the show and tell us about your YouTube channel. I'd love for that to happen. There you go. Jen's put the link out into the chat. Thank you very much. Great. You got great stuff. It's going to be good to listen to what you got to say. Next, little sad note. Passed away. So many condolences to his family.
Our favorite drummer.
He gave a lot of color to the community, and I hope that he rests in peace. So yeah, he's a legend. He's well known. You know, I may not have agreed with some of the stuff he said, but he's been around. He's been in a lot of documentaries, and I wish the family well. Next. Hopefully next week. I don't know if Brent made it to the chat or not, but we're hoping that next Sunday will be our first show of Sasquatch Dark Secrets, the new channel. And we're going to be doing Finding the Gatekeeper. So we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the stuff you see on there. Hopefully it doesn't get too crazy, but my guest will be Tate Hieronymus and Brent. The tall ones will be on, and we're going to have a candid discussion about what we think about what's happening with the PNG film and certain things that are being said about that film. So I know a lot of you are tired of hearing about the PNG film, but it's more about the person gatekeeping.
Should be very entertaining.
So yeah, should be, and hopefully we can stay live with that. But that'll be the first show for Sasquatch Dark Secrets next Sunday. So hopefully everything works out. It didn't work out for this Sunday because Tate got the co-junk. I had the co-junk last time, and then now he got it. So he's sick. So wish him well. And lastly, I think this is lastly, but our friend Donald, Vault of Curiosity, has been putting out some amazing, fun songs about us in the community, you know, who hang out in this community. He's done several on my channel. He did Lockbeard. He did Jonathan Sasquatch Wizard, and he's done a couple of controversial ones that I won't say, but it's fun. I thought it was really, really fun. I really appreciate it. He is going to let me use mine to create new intros for the channel, so I'll be doing that not as soon as I would like, because I want to get some new footage of a new place up on the mountain that hopefully I can get to next week. And then I'll start putting new intros together, because I've had the intro that I have now for about a year. So it's time to freshen things up and change the way things look. But go over there and hit his channel with a subscribe. These are really fun to listen to. And some of them, my mic is still crazy. But give me 1 second. 1 second.
Well, the meteor shower is pretty.
Okay. Now can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're almost done here anyway. I got to get people on the road to the next thing. So I think that's it, everybody. Thank you for coming, Gerry.
Hey, my pleasure anytime.
having a chit chat with me today. I hope it's good now. Yeah, now I'm getting off. See, I should have done that before. I didn't know my mic. The voice meter got jumbled. Sometimes I have to restart it. It's like starting an engine, you know. You have to. It literally says starting an engine now. So, anyway, you guys do not forget hit that like button, subscribe, to your friends, over here, give me a chat. You know what you guys want here. About tweet. See you guys all next time.